Hello, everybody. Welcome to Late Nights with Holden Mitchell. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in on Late Nights with Holden Mitchell. Tonight, we got 3 interviews in store for you with 3 different people on 3 different topics. First, we're going to meet up with Trent Gutowski, who's going to tell us about baseball players and how elite athletes they are. And then second, we're going to meet up with Peter Grigas, who's going to tell us the differences between combustion engine cars and electric cars. And then third, we're going to meet up with Zane Reynolds, who's going to argue the existence of aliens. But before we get to those interviews, I want to talk to you guys first about a topic of my own. Social media is something I've been seeing that has been getting a lot of criticism lately, and I can't really seem to understand why. I know everybody seems to think that it's just a platform for moody teenagers, but in reality I feel like it's done a lot of good for our industries. And I certainly believe that social media has played a big role in gaining this TV show's success. The majority of our audience has come from the exposure we've gained from social media, and we certainly wouldn't get the crowds we got if it wasn't from that exposure. And actually, we aren't the only ones to gain from the use of social media. In fact, 90% of marketers say that social media was successful in increasing the exposure to their businesses. And it's easy to see why when you realize that there are 3.5 billion people worldwide that use social media. And actually, it's gotten to the point where social media is basically essential. I mean, if you think about it, if somebody needs a product or service and they go to a Google search to look up businesses around them and your business isn't showing up because you're not on social media, you're basically invisible to them. And finally, one of the best things about social media is its ability to reach out with your audience or, in other cases, your customers. I mean, just look at the feedback we receive. If it wasn't for this feedback, we wouldn't be able to make as good of a show as we have here. So, in conclusion, what I'm trying to say is social media has offered a lot of benefits to the business world, and it's basically the reason why we have so many great companies that we have these days. And I just don't believe that it deserves the reputation that it has. Anyway, let's get into our first interview. We're going to be meeting up with Trent Gutowski, talking to us about how elite baseball players are. All right, we're about to meet up with Trent Gutowski, a self-proclaimed elite athlete. How you doing, Trent?
Good, how are you?
Good. All right, so why don't you take me to where you're most comfortable?
Well, that would be the pitching mound. So I feel most comfortable in the pitching mound, but honestly, I could play in any sport.
All right, so your argument is that baseball players have a set of elite skills that translate well into all other sports. You want to tell me a little more about that?
Well, see, I think the skills needed to play baseball, or at least Major League Baseball at that, are easily relatable to other sports. So stuff like reaction time and endurance, they're integral parts in playing baseball, but the skills needed to play other sports, they aren't easily transferable to baseball, and that you basically need to train your entire life to be able to play major leagues.
So tell me about your personal experiences that led you to this conclusion.
Well, in my high school years, I played with some amazing athletes, especially in baseball. Specifically, we had 3 starters on my team. 2 of them, they went to USD to play baseball, and they're both starters right now. One of them actually played football on D1, and he played varsity, and he got scholarships to play D1 football at some colleges. But obviously he took baseball to play at USD. And then the other starter who went to USD, he played basketball on our varsity team, and he was one of our top basketball players. Fortunately, he didn't get any offers for basketball, but he did play baseball, and he went to USD. He's a top starter for them now. And then another good example is our third starter. He went to UCLA to play baseball, but he got some major offers for baseball, but he played almost every sport that we had at our school, and he was an amazing athlete, and he was one of our top players in those other sports other than baseball.
All right, so what data or resources do you have that back up your claims?
So yeah, I've done some research. Basically, from the mound to the plate, it's about 60 feet 6 inches, but when the pitcher releases the ball, it's about 55 inches. So the batter actually has 150 milliseconds to see the ball and kind of have it go through his brain, and then he has about 150 milliseconds to swing. So and then has a total of 250 milliseconds to decide whether to swing or not. That's a very small time to decide. That leaves about 400 total time between the ball and the plate. To put that in perspective, a normal human blink takes about 370 to 400 milliseconds. So if the batter were to blink, he would literally miss the ball entirely.
Wow, that's like really impressive reaction time.
Well, actually, it is pretty impressive. They actually did a study to test the reaction time in a lab. They did a go, no-go reaction test, and they gave them a little blink on a screen. They had to decide whether to go or no-go, and they did it with baseball players versus regular people and tennis players. And in the results, baseball players actually had a 320 millisecond reaction time in the test, whereas tennis players have a 370, and people that didn't play any sports actually had a 420 millisecond reaction time.
All right, so you're talking about reaction time, but you were talking specifically about fastballs. I know there are various different types of pitches that you use in baseball as a pitcher. How do those different types of pitches affect the skill required to be able to hit a baseball?
Yeah, so my example I gave obviously was for a fastball at 94 miles an hour, but obviously there's more pitches than a fastball that a pitcher can throw in the major leagues. There's stuff from like curveballs to changeups to cutters, all of those things, and they all each do different things. And if you're taking the reaction time of a fastball, you got very little time to react to that. But imagine that same reaction time, but it moving away from you, like a slider. It's a fastball until it moves away from you and you have no idea where it is. Or a curveball, it's a complete different speed and it drops down, so you could be swinging right over it, you could be swinging in front of it. There's basically no way to hit it, and a changeup is basically just an entirely different speed than a fastball, and you could swing right in front of it, and there's no way you can hit it if you're expecting a fastball at all. So being a hitter is very difficult because you've got to basically be able to predict what pitch is coming, and if you guess wrong, then you're going to swing and miss, or you're going to watch it and not be able to hit it at all.
Do you think you could show me an example of different types of pitches?
Yeah, I can show a quick pitch. This is going to be a curveball as opposed to a fastball. The curveball kind of goes up and down while the fastball just goes straight in, so here goes a curveball. Oh, I'm so good.
Apparently they have elite egos as well.
What did you say?
Nothing, it was a good pitch.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right, so can you just overall summarize the argument you're trying to make?
So basically, I just wanted to get some more respect for baseball because, in my opinion, it's a pretty difficult sport, and I think baseball players could play any other sport better than other people can play baseball.
What about NASCAR?
At least we can turn right better than you.
All right, well, thank you for your time, Trent. I know you elite athletes have a busy schedule, but, I appreciate you inviting me out here.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to fit you in. I'm always on that grind, but I just wanted my argument to get heard, so yeah.
Well, there you have it, folks. Baseball players are the ultimate elite athletes. Let's take it back to the studio. Well, there you have it. Baseball players are one hell of an athlete. Anyway, let's go meet up with Peter Grigas so he can tell us about his argument between combustion cars and electric cars. Alrighty, we're here at Peter Grigas' house, an internal combustion expert and a proud patriot. Let's see what he has to say.
Peter Grigas? Oh, hold on a second. The hell are you wearing, boy?
This is just my interview outfit.
In the way? Nice to meet you. How's it going?
Good. What you got there?
All right, now. Oh, well, this here, she's a panty dropper.
Alright, what else can you tell me other than that?
Well, this here Holden's a 1972 AMC Javelin AMX, powered by a 401 cubic inch V8, producing 420 American horsepower. This thing will do 0 to 60 in 4 seconds flat. I want to go take a ride. We'll do the rest of the interview there.
Alright, let's do that then.
All right.
Thing has airbags, right?
Airbags? Hell no, we're gonna die like men.
Alright, Peter, so it's obvious you're a fan of American classics. Well, how do you feel about electric cars that have been kind of taking over the industry?
Let me tell you, Holden, electric motors, they belong in my toothbrush, not my car. Electric motors, yeah, they offer a lot of torque and really good acceleration, but they just can't handle certain elements such as heat or cold weather. They're just not up to this. The technology's not there yet.
Can you elaborate more on that?
Sure. So electric cars, they're relatively new technology. combustion engine cars have been around for over a century and have much time to get refined parts, and they're super simple to work on. Electric cars, on the other hand, parts are extremely hard to find and extremely expensive, make them hard to maintain, and they break down pretty easily in extreme elements.
So say I was in the market to buy a new car. What kind of differences can I expect between an electric car or a typical internal combustion engine car?
So, when you're buying an electric car, everyone knows that you're going to need a charger. So, overnight, you're going to need to charge your car when you go to bed every day. While with a gas-powered car, you can fill up on the go. It takes 30 seconds to refill and you're ready to go for another 500 miles. Electric cars, on the other hand, you get a range of a maximum 200 miles. So, that's great if you're a commuter around an urban setting, but if you're out here like in the suburbs or in the urban area, rural area, you can't go far. So, that's quite a problem.
Alright, so what kind of differences of cost can one expect when buying either an electric car or a combustion car?
Okay, well, on the normal trend is an electric car that is an equivalent to a similar gas-powered car will cost around $3,000 to $7,000 more. Now, you don't have to pay for gas, but you still need to pay for electricity and the installation fee of your new electric charger. So in the long run, an electric car, if you own it for over a decade, will save you money. But a gas-powered car, you can buy much cheaper and run for much cheaper as well for a shorter period of time.
So in terms of performance vehicles, what sort of options are there for electric vehicles?
Well, right now there's only a few electric vehicles that are built specifically for performance. You have the Tesla Model S P1000 and a new Mercedes that is being released next year. While gas-powered cars, performance cars have been around for nearly half a century. I mean, since the 20s, people have been modifying their gas-powered cars to go faster and be more powerful. Take Dodge and Chevrolet, for example. Dodge and Chevy, they produce insane cars that are barely street legal. These things are meant solely for racing, yet they're street legal. Now Tesla, of course, is getting into this. Their new Teslas can do 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds, which is really formidable, let me tell you. But they still can't compete with these new gas-powered cars that are becoming more and more powerful.
So lately in the automotive industry, all I've been hearing about is their environmental footprint.
Right.
What sort of differences are there between electric and combustion cars?
Well, electric cars generally by unit have a smaller carbon footprint. Electric cars don't have any CO2 emissions or anything, but they're not completely free of emissions. In production, electric cars need a large amount of lithium for their batteries. Lithium is an extremely hard to mine substance that requires a huge operation that causes, generally, a lot of pollution, especially water pollution. Along with powering the electric car, you might be filling your electric car with energy and think, alright, cool, it's really clean and stuff. But that electric energy might be coming from a coal plant, which is producing CO2 emissions. So, though electric cars by unit produce less CO2 emissions, they still produce some in the larger term aspects.
So Peter, do you have any final statements to sort of sum up your argument?
Sure. So, in today's technology world, gas-powered cars still offer more benefits than electric cars. They're better for performance, better cost, better maintenance, and all the above. But let me tell you, I'm a little scared for gas-powered cars. Companies like Tesla and Honda, they're constantly innovating and creating new electric cars, and they're getting better and better every year. So, the reign of the gas-powered car might come to an end real soon.
Anyway, thanks for the interview, but I just thought you should know I drive a Prius.
Get the hell out. We're done. This interview's over. Get the hell out. We're going right home.
Well, guess we'll go back to the studio. Well, after waiting 20 minutes for my Uber ride home, I came to the conclusion that Peter was just one strongly opinionated patriot. Anyway, let's meet up with Zane Reynolds and his rather interesting argument on the existence of aliens. All right, we're out here in the middle of the desert meeting up with Zane Reynolds, an extraterrestrial expert. He's a believer in extraterrestrial life. Let's see what he has to say. How you doing, sir?
Put this on fast! You need this too!
What are these for?
Just make sure the aliens can't read your mind and actually understand what we're saying in this conversation.
All right, I guess I'll wear this thing. Anyway, Zane, you've been known as a extraterrestrial expert. What evidence do you have that suggests that life on other planets exists?
Well, the evidence that I've come for, all your sightings that you can see, like the Phoenix Lights and all that, were just hoaxed. But what I have evidence is on the Oumuamua sighting. Now, this sighting consists of actual aliens coming into our solar system and orbiting around each of our planets to actually understand. We are known to this because we actually went up into space and we sent out signals to actually see exactly what they look like. And it came close to Earth and it orbited a couple times and then left. We would never have been able to see it of the way and how small it was compared to. And right when we actually tried to see it, it went off and we're never to see it again.
So what credible sources do you have that suggest...
I lost it!
What was that about?
Well, you see, from a later incident that we had during my studies, we've come across radio signals that we first transmitted out, which included just binary numbers as well as pictures. And a couple months later, we received a transmission back, which showed mathematical equations from 1 to 30, either presenting us and trying to show us what they're trying to say or teach us basic math. That way we'll be able to communicate with them later in the future.
Where did you get this information?
Well, you see, borrowed a couple of these governmental files, which stated what to do in an event of an actual alien sighting. And these were only for the US and Canada. And they specifically told us that if we are known to any sightings of alien life or unknowns, that we have to report it to the NSA immediately so that they will be able to protect us in case of any emergency, but they will discourage any regular citizen or pilot or military officer that these were all fake incidents, even though they will take it as an actual threat.
So Zane, what recent discoveries have been made that suggest that there is life on other planets?
Well, you see, after we sent the rovers out to Mars, we discovered that there was actually biomolecular molecules that we've discovered that entitled that there's actually bacteria on Mars. As well as we've discovered on comets as well that there are bacteria either from Mars that's been broken apart, like an asteroid, or that the Curiosity rover picked up from dirt that is just collected throughout Mars.
So the fact that there's bacteria, that essentially proves that there is life on other planets.
Correct, yes and no. Molecular life is something that's super small. The thing that people are actually looking forward to is intellectual life. But as far as we're concerned, right now, that is basic life that we found on other planets. Also, space is 93 billion light years away, as well as the Andromeda Galaxy just so near. This can also be a possibility of how close we are to having intellectual life other than our own in this universe.
Well, there you have it, folks. Proof alien life exists.
Look, there's something over there!
This guy's f***ing insane. So what is it?
We have an alien crop circle. I have no clue what it means, but it's not done by any human around here. I have to go report this in.
Well, there you have it, folks, I guess. Alien life exists. Let's just go back to the studio. Well, there you have it, folks. The existence of aliens proven right here on the Late Nights with Holden Mitchell. Join us next week to see what scientific discoveries we uncover next.